Hey there, Empowered Tribe. It's Angela T. Moore. You're getting ready to experience the 17th episode of Empowered, a health and wellness podcast where I share my personal journey of health and healing, tips for mental and physical health, interviews with health and wellness experts and those bold enough and vulnerable enough to share their own journeys to empower you to succeed in yours. We know that life can be rewarding. It can also be challenging. It has its ups and downs, highs and lows. I learned that with a strong mind and a fit body, you are better able to grow through and grow from whatever life throws your way. My goal is to share journeys of health and wellness, as well as tips and information from extraordinary people all around the world to help you live an empowered life. My guest, Mark L. Green, is the founder and president of America Let's Exercise Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that promotes healthy living for all age groups. Mark's also a musician and the composer of the motivational fitness song, America Let's Exercise. He also produces and hosts 2 weekly radio shows on 89.5 FM, WAHS Auburn Hills, Michigan. An hour of jazz with Mark L. Green every Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and a traditional gospel broadcast called Lift Him Up every Saturday and Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In this episode, Mark shares how a surprising number on the scale motivated him to make the necessary changes in his life to not only lose weight, but to become healthier and improve his overall well-being. Further inspired by the death of his father and other chronic illnesses in his family, Mark decided to make the decision to be committed to becoming healthier. By taking control of his eating habits, as well as figuring out simple ways to move more and eat less, Mark's journey of health and wellness demonstrates that with commitment and dedication, you can dramatically improve your health. Mark's motto is, "Do all the good you can while you can." And as he vehemently stated in the interview, to do all the good you can, take care of your health and wellness while you can. Because when that period comes when you can't, you've lost it. I hope you enjoy the episode. Mark, Empowered is my health and wellness podcast where I share my personal journey of health and healing, tips for mental and physical health, interviews with health and wellness experts, and those bold enough and vulnerable enough to share their own journeys to empower you to succeed in yours. Not too long ago, you shared with me that you had recently embarked on your own personal health and wellness journey that you wanted to share with me. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, the honor, and the opportunity to hear about your amazing journey. When did you start your amazing health and wellness journey that we're going to be talking about today? When did you start this?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Angela. As you know, I've always promoted health and wellness and fitness, always worked out over the years, but it wasn't until 2021 is when I really made a change in my health and wellness. Because as I was exercising in the past, I was still eating any and everything that I wanted to eat because, but during that time in 2021, when we were at the midst of the pandemic, like so many others, were just sitting around eating and just eating because we didn't know what was going on. So it was when I weighed in on January 2nd, 2021, when I weighed in at 220 pounds, which was the most that I've ever weighed in my life. And I could feel it, I could see it. And so it was then when I decided to make some changes. So I knew what I had to do to start off. I had to change the way I was eating, my consumption. And from that point, January 2nd, 2021 is when I made a conscious decision to hold myself accountable and realize that I was at a point in my life, at an age in my life where I wasn't burning off as many calories as I used to. Because I used to, as I said, I would walk all the time. I would basically work out to eat, Yeah. So it was January 2nd, 2021 is when I cut out a lot of the sugar, most of the sugar, because I understood that was a part of my, gaining weight. Oh my goodness, I used to really indulge in ice cream. That was my weakness.
That was your weakness?
Yes. I would literally go to the grocery store, whatever store I was at, and go to the dessert freezer section, and I would scout the ice cream freezers to find a new ice cream. So a lot of times I would buy maybe 2 or 3 different types of ice cream, come home, and I would just enjoy myself. So I had to break up with the ice cream. And
to sever the relationship.
yes, yes. And so I did that. And it was a challenge at first, but I knew I challenged myself to do the turnaround. I could either continue to gain weight the way I was and continue to eat, or turn it around. And so I challenged myself from that point to make a change. And it started out what started out as a challenge became a lifestyle. And I'm thankful that I've been able to maintain. So my goal was to get from the 220 at least to 200. So I was able to accomplish that, and I weigh myself every year. And some people that know me might think that I was never overweight, but I could see it. I could feel it.
Yeah.
This is a funny one, Angela.
I want to hear it.
What really got me on track was one morning I was getting ready for work, and I wanted to wear this pair of brown corduroys that I had for a while, and it had a button on it. So it was like a cartoon playing out. I said, I'm going to wear these pants this morning. So I put them on, and I had to inhale to get this button. And this is the truth. I had to inhale to button this button. When I exhaled, the button popped.
Oh, no.
Yes. So that was the start of my turnaround as well.
Okay. It's really
make
interesting. I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
I said that's when I knew I really had to make some changes.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting is that you mentioned the day, the date when you weighed yourself and you saw a number on the scale that you had not seen before.
Right.
And I think that happens to a number of people. They have that moment where they either weigh themselves at home after they haven't done so in quite some time, or they go to the doctor's office and they have an appointment with the doctor and they get that wonderful opportunity
right.
to really determine their current health status, because when you go to the doctor not only measures your heart rate, your blood pressure, all those different things. But before you even enter the room, oftentimes you have to take your shoes off and get on the scale.
Right.
And some people that don't do their regular annual screenings, they sometimes can go years without getting that measurement. And I believe that if you have more opportunities to have those aha moments like you had that day, coupled with the corduroy pants, the brown corduroy pants that you had to inhale to put on, the button popped off. Those kind of moments can be the motivating factor for change.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think a lot of people are able to make the decision and then follow through with the necessary actions after the decision's made. And so they give up. And obviously you have not given up. So that day, which was January 2nd, 2021.
January 2nd, 2021.
Yeah. Now we're at March 7th, 2024. What is your current weight now? My
current weight as of January 3rd, well, I just weigh, this is what I do, Angela. So I do a yearly January 2nd weigh-in. So I'll go down to the January 2021, January 2nd, I weighed in at 220. January 2nd, 2022, I weighed in at 192. January 2nd, 2023, I weighed in again at 192. January 3rd, 2024, I weighed in at 191. So I continue to do what I've done, and it is always my determination and, to stay under 200 with my height. And that's where I feel comfortable. I know maybe the doctor would suggest I get a little slimmer, but I feel good where I'm at now because I've learned my body where I can back it off. And I actually gotten down to, so I conditioned myself before I went on a trip over the Christmas holidays. I went to Dallas to visit family, and I knew I was going to be doing a lot of eating. So I conditioned. Now, this is something I learned. I learned my body so I could condition myself to take this trip, and I was able to get myself down to 187, about 187, 188. And I did that so I could indulge. I was going to be there for almost 10 days. And I knew all my sister-in-laws, there was going to be a lot of down southern cooking and going out to eat. So I conditioned myself for the trip.
Yeah.
And it feels good when you know your body and you can know what to do to condition, to have some leeway, as I would say, And I looked at that experience as, a lot of times when people get ready to go on vacation, they save money so they can splurge. Well, I reverse it and set it for myself. I am going to get my weight where I want it to be so I can splurge, just instead of going out shopping, I'm just going to eat whatever it comes at me. And then I made room for it. And then once I got back home, so I actually only gained maybe 4 pounds while I was away. So that put me right around 192. And I was able to get it back down in regulation once I got back home. So, it's a everyday thing. I still watch what I eat because I don't want everyone to get that 220. If I get close to 199, or I don't even want to get to 199, I usually stay between 192, 191. And it's discipline. It's really you really have to be disciplined.
And you said something very key. You said every day. It's an everyday thing, and it truly is. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think, unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize. I think we oftentimes want to overindulge more often than we are mindful of what we eat, and then we want to starve ourselves or do something extreme to get ourselves to, a so-called ideal weight. The idea is every day to consistently exercise, to eat well, so that you have a healthy weight all the time, quite honestly. And with the understanding that you may have times where you're not able to eat as healthy as you would like, or you may not be able to get in as much physical activity as you like, but because you're being consistent and you're being consistently healthy, those limited days that you're not able to maybe eat the way you want, or you're not able to get the physical activity, will not have a negative impact on your health.
Right. So to go back and answer your question about my weigh-in currently, I had to think. I just weighed myself this morning. So I weighed in. I usually weigh myself like every morning or every other morning, first thing in the morning when I get up. So I weighed in this morning at 191.2 was my current weight today. So, I feel good about that. And like I said, it's a lifestyle now. It's not a challenge as it used to be when I first started, because I had to really push back away from the sweet. That's the ice cream. And so now and it's more for the health benefits as well, not just the physical appearance. But then also it all works together, it ties in, because I want to feel good. And then, I had to changing my size of clothes, because I didn't want to wear clothes that was too big, or, pants. I had just bought pants and things back in 2021. I was wearing a 36. And so I had to get rid of all of those pants and change. I didn't want to be, walking around like all my clothes was too big. And so it feels good to feel good and to try to maintain the best physical appearance as possible.
Yeah, I'm glad that you highlighted the health part. And the reason that I say that is because there's a horrible misconception that if you're thin, that you're fit. And that if you starve yourself to get to a certain weight, that because you've achieved that weight, that you are then healthier. And you and I both know, and I've talked about our health in the past. We know that's not true. we
Right.
know that it's not just the size of the clothes, it's also what you're putting in your body. And I'm so glad that in addition to making a decision that you wanted to get to a certain size, you also recognize the importance of doing so for your health and not
Mm.
because of the number on the scale. I know that was a motivating
Right.
factor, but you realize that it's more to it than that.
Yes. Well, because I also know my family history. On
Mm-hmm.
my mother's side, diabetes, and my father's side with high blood pressure. Both sides, actually. So I knew I could be at risk,
Mm-hmm.
and I am very happy. I'm very proud of put the work in and receive the benefits. I'm very happy
Yeah.
to say that I just turned 53 March 1st, and as of this day, I am not on any medication. So that, I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was just 6 days ago,
Thank you.
right? You said March 1st?
Yes, March 1st.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So happy
Mm-hmm.
birthday.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. What a way to celebrate your birthday, to be able to look at the fact that you've aged another year and that you're
Mm.
healthier. How great is that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my celebration.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting is that many medical and wellness professionals and experts in many fields talk about you need to have a why, and finding your why in order to make significant changes. Why was it so important for you to make those significant changes in your life? Was it because of your parents' history? Was it because of the number on the scale? Were there more reasons that you wanted to make
Uh,
that change? Because your parents have had that history before, right?
yes,
I'm
yes.
sure there've been times when you were over 200, maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know,
That was
or
that was the
maybe
one
like,
time.
hmm.
You said that was the one first time that I had weighed over 200.
Okay, so now was that the why? Was that the why that you needed
Yes,
to make the change? Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Because I knew that if I continued to eat the way I was,
Mm-hmm.
that I would only get bigger.
Mm.
And so I had to make the conscious decision that that is not the way I wanted to get older, at
Gotcha.
age.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the history of my mom and my pop and the family. So it was my challenge to make a change,
Yeah.
health-wise, for the health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, my pop, he passed away in 2012
Mm-hmm.
from a heart attack,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
at the age of 76.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that it was in the family. So I had to make some changes.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've shared this with you, Mark, or you may be aware. I don't know if I shared it with you when we talked. I know I had the wonderful opportunity to support you and your America Let's Exercise,
Yes, yes.
platform that you've
Mm-hmm.
had for so many years. And I think during that time I shared with you that my mom died of a massive stroke when
Mm-hmm.
I was 13 and she was 42. And now if you
Mm-hmm.
looked at her, you would have thought she was a healthy woman because she was thin. She wasn't overweight at all.
Mm-hmm.
But truly, she was really, I would say, she was a smoker and she had significant high blood pressure. She was under immense stress,
Mm-hmm.
and we talk about the perfect storm, which is not so perfect
Mm-hmm.
because it's a storm. And ultimately, after that storm, she was no longer with us. And
Mm-hmm.
I think so many people, unfortunately, don't get that wake up call that they need. They don't see the number on the scale and they don't get devastated by that number and make a significant change. And then we hear about them afterwards. Their family members are
Right.
saying, my aunt, my uncle, my mom, my dad. And they're
Mm-hmm.
talking about them because they're no longer here.
Right.
And I just think it's so important for people like you and I, for you to continue with your platform and for me to continue with my platform because we may be the very thing that helps someone get their why.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We can, by continuing on my journey and your journey, whether we know it or not, people are inspired by the way we stick to our journey. And I thought the other day, I said, one way or another, you're going to be an inspiration to someone on their health and fitness journey. Either they're going to look at you and see that you're doing the best you can to take care of yourself. Yeah. And you're looking healthy, feeling healthy. Or if you're on the other side, you still could inspire someone if you're not taking the best care of yourself, and inspire somebody to say, well, I don't want to go down that path. You see what I'm saying? So I chose to be on the side of hopefully being an inspiration to someone.
Positive
to
inspiration.
See that I'm trying, the positive.
Yeah.
Yes, the positive. So this is all we have. We got one body.
Isn't that the truth? And we forget about that sometimes, I think.
Yes. Oh, Angela, I've thought, since I started on my journey, I've had so many different thoughts. People take pride in a lot of material things. People take very much pride in their home, their grass, their lawn, their manicure, their cars. And no one ever sees these material things unless they come to your home and they're invited. Nobody sees what, the time you put in your detailed car, you go to the grocery store. Nobody sees that car unless they walk out and see you get in it. Right. But our bodies are seen every time we go outside of our house. So I just thought, why not invest the time in my health and wellness? That because I'm walking and people are seeing me every day, they don't know what I have materialized, materially, unless I invite somebody over and they see this and that. So you see what I'm saying? Just for me, it's more about taking care of my health and wellness. The material things, they can come and go, but we only get one body. In this lifetime.
Well, and it's interesting because the one body that you get is the one body that our loved ones get also.
Yes.
My thing is, and it's funny because I know I ruffled a few feathers when I made the statement some years ago. I wrote an article about the fact that I feel like as a parent, you have a personal responsibility, and not just a parent, but just as a person who has these connections and relationships with people that consider you important, that consider you an integral part of their lives, and you wanting to be, or I think you should want to be the best and healthiest version of that, for yourself and for other people. And I know I ruffled a few feathers because I said to parents that I was talking to at the time, you have a personal responsibility to be your best and healthiest self. And I said that because we were talking about college, we were talking about positioning, helping our kids position themselves to be successful people in the future. And I made the statement because of several other things that were said of how terrible it would be to pay for your kids' education, to help them become successful. And then the very moment that they should be stepping out and flying away from the nest and being successful in life and creating their own lives and having families and children and, living their life, that they would have to come back and stop all that to take care of you because you didn't take care of yourself. Now, yes, there are times when we get sick for we don't know why. People get cancer, They get many different diseases, unfortunately. No fault of their own. And even if it was, I'm not trying to be judgmental or critical here. But when you intentionally don't take care of yourself, and when you intentionally are eating things and doing things that is putting yourself in a really bad healthy state, and then your kids have to deal with those decisions, I don't think it's very nice. I think it's a very terrible thing to do, quite honestly.
Yes. And as you know, talking about health and wellness and weight can be a touchy subject for a lot of people. But it's you have to be committed if you want to see the change. We would hope that more people would choose to live a healthier life, and take their health and wellness seriously, and make changes before they have to go to the physician and they recommend that you have to do this.
Yeah.
If you want to be around, so it's better to just do it on your own. It's a challenge, but you have to be disciplined and be consistent.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you that because I was going to ask you, like, what motivates you to be consistent with your health and wellness journey? Because as you mentioned, it can be difficult. And yeah, it can be extremely difficult.
Well, what motivates me is because I don't want to creep back up to 220. That
number, that 220 number, it's like, don't go to 220.
Yes, Angela, it's like you put in all this work, or you discipline yourself to get to this point. If I start to creep back up to 200, that means that I have stopped doing everything that I had started to lose.
Yeah.
That means that I'm just giving up. I'm just going to let it all go. So for me, I feel good that I've been able to challenge myself to back my weight down to where I am. So that motivates me to stay consistent,
Gotcha.
Now, I may have a scoop of ice cream, and my preferred scoop is, I go to Cold Stone every now and then, but it's like I haven't had ice cream since last summer.
I gotcha.
Because I know, I haven't gone down the frozen section in years.
Yeah, well, what you're talking about is it sounds like your kind of trigger, that thing, that food that can, once you start eating it, it may be a little more difficult to, to stay consistent with your goals. And we do have to be aware of that. There are certain things that we know, okay, if I start eating that, historically, I have not been able to stop eating that. So there may be something that you want to avoid, but I want to make sure I take a moment to say something, because I know that people listening to the podcast are going to be very inspired by you and motivated, because I know that many people have had that same experience where they've gotten on the scale and they haven't liked the number. But I want to say, as a trainer and as a therapist, to give these tips to the people that are going to be listening. And I'm going to have you share some of your own personal tips. But one thing that I would like to share is that you don't have to eat perfect. What I tell people is be more mindful of the foods you should be eating as opposed to foods that you should avoid. I've never had a problem with a client that is eating healthy and then has an occasional splurge. I've had problems with clients who eat the splurge instead of eating. And so instead of eating a meal or a healthy snack, they eat a bag of chips. They eat a thing of cookies. They drink a soda. Never am I telling you to restrict what you're eating. My thing is really be mindful that you're getting all your healthy food so you can get all your essential nutrients. And then if you have that occasional splurge, it's no problem. And what I have found is that when you're eating healthy, you really don't have this cravings for the unhealthy foods as much.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely be a witness to that, because one of the changes that I did when I put away all the sweets when I first started, I said I challenged myself to stay away from sweets for like the whole month. And so what I would do, and I did this that first year, and I still do it, I would stay away from sweets, cakes, pies, ice cream, whatever, for the whole month. And then I would reward myself if I maintained that for the whole month. That last few days of that month, that would be my treat day. So it was a challenge. So I would probably have, a piece of cake or whatever, those last few days of that month. And then I'd restart the next month. So I really was real strict when on my journey, my eating habits when I first started this in 2021.
Gotcha.
Because I knew I needed to make a change and just challenge myself to be disciplined. And then I would also have what I call I eat healthy all through the week, and then I have a fun food day, which may be Friday or Saturday, where if I feel like it, as you said, but once you get used to eating healthy, you don't crave the fast food or anything that much. So I will say I'll have a fast food or a fun food pass. So I go to my choice of location. I don't want to be promoting too much, but I'll go to my choice restaurant and go through the drive-through. Oh my goodness, it was so funny. So I have to share this with you. I went to this location, and it was my fun food day. And so I went to this location, and I work in high school, Avondale High School. And so there was a student, young lady that worked at the drive-thru. And so I went through and I ordered an onion ring and a fry along with my burger. So when I got up to the drive-thru, the young lady looked at me and she said, "Mr. Green, onion rings and fries?" And I said, "Oh my goodness." So I said, I'm going to have to disguise myself now whenever I go up there.
Wear a hat and some glasses.
So that was so funny to me that she called me out, you know. And I said, well, this is I felt like I had to explain to her, but this is my fun food day. You know, I eat healthy all through the week, but this is my day.
Well, you know, it's interesting.
So,
what you're talking about is what you figured out what works for you. You figured out what works for Mark L. Green, and that is to maybe go for an extended period of time without eating those splurge foods, and then doing so at a scheduled time on a scheduled day. And that works for some people. Some people do that. Others may find that if they eat healthy throughout the day and they maybe have a cookie here or a snack, you know, or a sugary beverage or something, in moderation, they're able to consistently maintain their healthy goals. And I think what we're talking about is the importance of figuring out what works for you. And what works for you is going to be as individual as we are individuals, you know.
Yes. That is, you know, Angela, I feel so good where I had to learn my body. And that's what it is. You have to learn what you can do with your body, how much you can eat, what you can eat, and how it's going to affect you. So once a person learns their body and what they can, you know, intake, how much, then you have a better chance of changing and living a healthier lifestyle.
Now, something that we haven't talked about, and I think it's important, is, especially because of your platform, America Let's Exercise, right? Exercise-wise, because we've talked a lot about food. I know that when we talked prior to this interview today, that's one of the things that you mentioned is something that you have integrated into your lifestyle now. So what types of exercise do you do?
All right. Glad you asked that. One of my favorites, I love to walk. I love to walk. I work in a high school, pretty large, and so my goal, I even challenge myself, depending on my workload, I challenge myself to get my 10,000 steps in before 2:22, the end of the school day. So a lot of times I'm able to do that and continue doing my work throughout the day, but I love to walk. I don't like to sit for long periods of time. So walking, and then I'm also in the gym, the fitness area. Well, I just do, just the regular weight station. I used to lift weights to get buff back in my late 20s, early 30s. Now I just lift weight to tone and condition. So I do the row, the arm, chest press, and everything like that. But so, you know, it's usually some light but comfortable just to maintain and condition and tone.
Well, you know, it's something that I think that's really important is you've determined what you really like to do and what you enjoy. And that's something that I encourage a lot of my clients to do is, or at least I try to teach them a lot of different ways to exercise. And whether they're with me or they're by themselves or whatever they're doing, I say, you know, do something that if you can, that you enjoy, and have a number of things that you like to do. And you mentioned walking. I love walking because walking is something that I think most people can do. And you can do it even in weather. With Michigan, we never know what we're going to get. Michigan's the only place where you can have all 4 seasons in 1 week.
Right.
So walking is probably one of my favorite forms of exercise because I find that most people can do it. And I love that you mentioned that even though your strength training, your focus and goals was very different when you were younger, that you still understand the importance of strength training, but you've decided to do it a different way. And the reason why I want to highlight that is because sometimes something that we've done in the past, we can change it a little bit based on our lifestyle, based on our age, based on our goals. So something that you enjoyed, many years ago, you can enjoy now, but in a different way.
Yes. And as we said, it's all about the health and wellness first and foremost, how I feel my health. But then also it ties in with how you look, how you want to look when you put your clothes on, when you get dressed. So I do wear a lot of suits. I still go to church and get dressed and whatnot. So I wanted when I put on a suit, I didn't want to be like over big, but to look fit, in a suit. So that's why I chose, as I got older, to back off the heavyweight and trying to really get buff.
Yeah, no longer buff.
I don't want to look uncomfortable.
That's not your goal anymore.
And then also for me, Angela, I said, if you don't maintain, now this is just for me, but this works for me. I said, if you don't maintain all the buff, it will turn to fluff.
If you don't maintain the buff, it's going to turn to fluff. I like that.
That's for me. Maybe it helps somebody else, but that helped me. So then that's when I turned it around and said, all right, I'm going to just lift weight to tone. I don't want to get like the Hulk or anything like that. Just, so you have to figure out what's best for you.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, my final question to you is, of course, that, my show is called Empowered. I'm all about empowerment. How do you feel that your journey of health and healing can be used to empower others?
Well, just by hearing my story, hearing my journey, hopefully it will inspire someone to let someone know that you can do this. If you want to make a change in your life, in your health and wellness, you can do it. You just have to, be consistent and be disciplined. You have to challenge yourself. If someone wants to see a difference, you have to put your best foot forward, be consistent, and believe that you can do it.
Yeah. And I think that I'll add to that. I think just remember to tell yourself that every day that you can do it. You're going to have days where it's going to be a little more challenging than other days, but if you are consistent more than you're inconsistent, eventually you're going to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Any final things that you would like to say before we end this wonderful interview?
Well, I think I shared with you, my motto is to do all the good you can while you can. And I say that a lot when I end both of my radio shows. But when I say do all the good you can while you can, that starts with me. Do all the good I can by taking care of myself while I can. So I'm sure a lot of individuals may hear that and they may think I'm saying to do good deeds. Well, that is part of it. But to do all the good you can to take care of your health and wellness while you can. Because when that period comes where you can't, you've lost it.
Yeah. I'll end with this. It makes me think of something. Years ago, I had the wonderful opportunity to interview Dr. Sophia Moraima. She is a wonderful, phenomenal person in the field of oncology. and she works with breast cancer victims. And no, I'm sorry, I hate the way I said that. Not breast cancer victims, breast cancer thrivers. And her work has saved a lot of individuals, men and women that have had breast cancer. And one of the things that she said that was so key is she said, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, I'm not quoting, that whenever you exercise and you take good care of yourself, whether you have a disease or not, you're going to, from that point forward, your life is going to be better. And now that we're able to live longer and able to do things that years ago people at our age may not have that same expectation that they could do. Now, people 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, it's not uncommon to see them live very active lives. But one of the things that she emphasized is that when you do age, your ability to age well, to enjoy that time, whether you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, or even 100, is going to be determined by how well you take care of yourself. So it's not just, our goal is not just to live longer, but to live well.
Yeah, exactly. That is the goal.
Yeah. So how can people, I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was just
going to say, and how can people learn about your platform? Where can they go?
Oh, you can go to the America Let's Exercise website, www.americalet'sexercise.com. And that's where you can see what the organization is all about. And so we are looking and hoping to get more of our community events, as you attended one before the pandemic. And as we all know, a lot of things got shifted and got to be reorganized to get rebooted, as now things are starting to open up. But it's like I told you, it's a motivational fitness song as well. America Let's Exercise is where it started from. Fun, up-tempo song just to motivate people to, get up and move. And I would always promote and say, if you don't get up and exercise or walk, this is a song that you can just get up and start to move, just to dance. And maybe that will plant the seed for them to be inspired and motivated to go and take it a little bit further and exercise and get out.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being an inspiration to so many people. And I really appreciate you sharing your story and your journey with me. And I look forward to seeing you as you turn 54, 55, 56, and continue on this health journey. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Angela.
You're very welcome. Thanks for listening to Empower It with Angela T. Moore. Feel free to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it. New episodes come out weekly. Follow our show on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening right now.